So welcome to the Tuesday, February 27th Stockbridge Cemetery Commission meeting. We're going to start out with the approval of the minutes. And I think, Candace, you probably got the same email I did about an issue.
Yeah, and I don't know that I agree with Pat's edits. So let me bring.
Oh, I didn't get any edits, but okay.
Well, she
Yeah,
questioned.
should want, yeah. It's that very last bullet point on page 2. White asked about the possibility of the repatriation of Indian burial grounds. And so Pat, I think, thought that sounded like we were going to repatriate some giant Indian burial ground or something. It's just a matter of syntax.
Yeah. So any
Well-
suggestions on how to, do we need to change it?
I think it's okay.
Well,
People
well,
know what we're trying to say.
well, do they? I mean, so the question was really about ownership of the Indian burial grounds, right? Not specific fragments of Indian burials, correct? So we're talking, what is the proper thing we're trying to say here?
Since you were the one that was saying it.
Well, look at what I think what I was saying was that this is an ongoing issue that is being dealt with countywide, and that we should, perhaps just offer support, but I think it's just a question of,
Yeah.
I don't know that there's any action items to take now, but it's just sort of an ongoing question.
Well, we need to rephrase possibly
Yeah,
rephrase the
the
phrase.
question,
I read these already.
I know, but is that accurate? Is this really about?
I don't know that, I defer to the group. Have we decided that
That's a,
after discussion, they do not, I don't know, that's not our purview, but that's not my call.
Yes, so, right. you-
right. So the question is, the Indian burial grounds that we're talking about, the ownership for that parcel is unclear. I think maybe that's what the minutes need to state.
Right. Yeah, it's effectively unowned right now.
Right.
But not Stockbridge owned. So it seems like the second sentence is fine. After discussion, it was that they do not, as the parcels are not Stockbridge owned property. Just the first sentence, I think Pat just was worried about the syntax. Like maybe if we just change it, White asked about the possibility of repatriation, maybe make that plural on Indian burial ground, something like that.
Hey, hi. Good to see you.
Is this Pat showing up? No.
No.
Hey.
It's you, I do.
It's you.
So
What?
what if we change it to that? White asked about the possibility of the repatriations. Well, maybe take out the,
But it wasn't just the repatriation, I think. It was also just in general about the issue of Indian burial. How about we just change it to issue? And I would take out just the issue of Indian burial grounds, and, it's a topic open for future discussion. That would be my preference, but, you're the chair.
I'd be okay with that. White asked about the issue of Indian burial grounds.
See you.
Hi,
Which is a topic.
Oh,
Under-
oh,
White asked about the possibility of the issue of Indian burial grounds. As the parcel is currently not Stockbridge owned property, can I say that?
were you talking about more than one spot?
I mean, it already says that in the last sentence, right?
I know, I'm thinking of shaking it up a little bit.
I think we,
Pat, we're going over the thing you had brought.
start us off with one sentence of editing.
Yeah.
But you're talking about more than just the burial ground, the Indian burial
Yeah, I
ground.
mean, I think it's just the whole question of, look,
Do we mean?
back in the day, where we have our cemetery across the street was Indian cemetery, and now it's a patent parking lot. And it's a subject of great sadness. I'll just tell you, it is.
Okay, so that's not,
That's kind of the larger
right,
question.
all right, okay, so we need to just put something in the language that works, that's all.
Yeah, we're just trying to fix the minutes.
Yeah, we're just trying to fix those.
Yeah. So I'm proposing White asked about the issue of Indian burial grounds comma, and everything else stays the same.
Maybe the issue of the community, the cemetery commission in this is.
Well, then the sentence continues, and if this topic comes under the purview of the cemetery commission,
okay.
period.
We're fine.
After discussion, it was that they do not, as the parcels are not Stockbridge-owned property.
Okay, is that going to work for everybody?
You okay with that, Candace?
The parcels, and what are those parcels?
We,
Any place that they're talking about Indian burial ground.
I think I was
Yeah.
gonna read that.
Oh,
well, we want to have it right, though.
We're in charge of the cemetery.
Yeah.
Not,
Somebody's going to do, somebody like me in 100 years is going to do a big research project. We want it right. I can tell you that.
That makes sense.
Nuts.
Okay, so that's okay then? And you're okay with this, Candace? You got this?
I don't have it, but I will have it, because I had already started editing things.
okay, so with that edit, can I move that we adopt the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I've written it down, Candace, if you need it from me later.
Okay, good idea. Just to make sure that we have it properly. Thank you.
Great.
2 seconds after the meeting, or if you have to go before I'll step out.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing is the CPC applications. We received the total amount for the fencing, which was 12.3, and we received 32.5 for the Hearst building. So the question is now what do we do?
I'm sorry, Karen, can you repeat those numbers again?
Sure, it was 12.3 for the fencing, which is what I had asked for, what we'd asked for, and 32.5 for the Hearst building.
Can I comment?
So we're saying $32,500 and $12,300.
Right, exactly, right. Yes.
I suggest we prepare a free cash warrant item for the balance of the need for that, if that's what the cemetery commission wants to do.
I like part of that idea. I would actually like to get some bids and actually find out what it might cost to do this. The bid that we based that on, we had to go with something. It's an old bid, and it's done by a person who tends to be a little more expensive. And I would like to go to Michael and say, can we get 3 bids now, get an idea of what it's going to cost, and then we'll figure out what to do at that point. It makes sense at that point to me to ask.
Well, yeah, I think that we'll whatever the balance is, what is what I'm really saying, whatever.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I'm also wondering, I mean, it'd be interesting if we could, maybe it needs to be broken out over a couple of years. You get it stabilized, this year, and then something else next year. Without the bids, I feel like I don't know how to make this decision because.
Sounds logical to me.
Yeah, I would be happy to go to Michael and see if we could, working with him, get some sort of a bid document out.
Yeah.
And it does strike me, I mean, I think Patrick makes kind of a good point that if we can get the bids before the deadline comes to get something on the town warrant, that'll be great. And if we can't, maybe we just put it on the warrant anyway with our $100,000 estimate. And, if any money, there's a surplus, whatever, I should return it back.
And that way the town gets to debate whether we do it or not
Right.
and decide. They can decide on both the community preservation warrant item and a free cash warrant item at the same time.
Patrick, do you know roughly what the deadline would be to get something?
It's mid-April.
It's mid-April?
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Candace, anything on that?
I was just going to ask about deadline, so all good.
Okay, good. In the CPC discussion, Linda Jackson suggested that we keep the granite posts and use them in the back. I don't know, do we have a back to our cemetery? Do we have fencing we don't have fencing along the back.
No,
We have no fencing on the
I
back.
don't think, there's a, I don't know if it's split rail or 2 rail, I can't remember, along one property line, but it's probably the other property, butters fence, I would assume. That's it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Right.
yeah,
You're talking about over in the active part of the cemetery right now.
yeah.
That's other than, the individual, around plots, other than that, nothing.
Okay. Can we use the granite for something else?
Absolutely, we
Okay.
can use the granite for different varieties of things, you know?
Yeah.
Why not? Yep.
Okay.
You can save one for my headstone when I go. It's like,
Yeah.
It might be a little too tall.
I know, right, Stu. You see why I raised our regulations.
Right. Is there anything you need to know?
Yes,
about the-
actually, have you visited the cemetery lately?
No, actually, I haven't.
Hey, Richie Atwood removed some of the hedges around when you first pull in, from the upper driveway where Mr. Williams just sold his house. On the right, that plot at family request, and I know we spoke a couple times about it, and we
Yeah.
thought, let how it came out dictate how we move forward. So we removed the rest of them. And it looks great, you know, now you can mow and maintain it, you can see the plots or the headstones, so that come out good. And,
Yes, I actually went and inspected that, because I know the family who started the project and yeah, I think it's great that you continued it to, and so we have it looking symmetrical and nice.
That
I
was
have
the one-
photographs actually, if anyone wants
That's
to
the
see
one
them.
that we actually went and visited, right?
I wasn't there for that part of it.
Yeah, we walked,
Yeah.
so that goes right there, yeah, well, that's all cleared now.
This is the spot here.
Yep.
You can see all these hedges were pulled out
Oh,
that were
Oh, that looks
clogging
good.
everything up. So yeah, it's a good idea.
yeah.
And then, on the 20th of this month,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, it does look good. Yeah.
then on the 20th of this month, Richie Atwood called me again. The Luchers, am I saying it right? Leuchs, the Luchers?
Sounds right.
I think it might be Loix.
Loix.
Oh.
I went to school with one of the daughters,
Yeah.
who I guess probably is pretty old by now.
You said mooches. I was like, what is he talking about?
I don't know.
LEU.
I think it is LEU.
Yeah.
CHS.
That's Luke, yeah, it's Luke, yeah.
His sister was my English and geometry teacher.
Okay, so, yes, they called.
Oops, okay. Anyway, I guess some pictures for you. What they're requesting to do, I guess at their expense, would be continue this around the rest of their plot. They did this, they want to replace what was there around the back. You can see there's an old post here, there's a broken one here. So they would like to continue that. And I said that would be up to the cemetery commission to make that decision, but, you know, so they just want to redo what's there, you know?
Okay.
This stone here, it's got that glass.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because he
Mr.
was,
Loix was a glass guy.
that's
Yeah.
good, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay.
He
Looks like a
definitely
good
was a
idea to
glass
me.
guy.
All right. Sorry
Okay.
you can't see this, but, okay, all right, so.
Can you describe it for me? What are you looking at?
Put it up to the camera if you want.
I don't know if you can see this or not, I mean, it's over here.
Well, I mean,
You're probably gonna put her out, but. Can you
sorry,
see?
yeah.
Yeah, I know. But
I
anyway-
can't see it well enough. So please describe it. Is it a granite fence? Is it an iron fence?
It's
Yeah.
low, it's very low.
Yeah, it's granite, it's about a foot high fence and post, and it's just to outline their plot, the family plot. And there's one existing there now that's, you know, it's beyond just fixing, so they're just looking to replace it.
Great. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
And then we had the tree come down, I'm sure you're aware of that. This is the crew cleaning the tree up.
Oh,
And
wow.
we had some damage to a couple stones
Oh,
and a
Is that a white
fence.
pine?
Yep. And, you know, you see it down there.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see, I got.
Is that in the back part of the?
Looks like it's right near the Sedgwick Pine.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's one of
Oh.
Sedgwick's trees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see, where's, we
Oh,
got
it's
pictures.
Sedgwick. It's a Sedgwick. It's on
It
the
was
Sedgwick
right-
property.
Was
Yeah.
it on Sedgwick property?
Yeah, I think it's right there. It's right on the edge. Where's the, I had some pictures of the aftermath. Let me find it. Yeah, here we go. Let's
Oh, yeah, I
see.
see the stone.
We got a couple bent rails, a couple
Oh.
knocked over stones. Here we
Is that
got,
in the Sedgwick pie?
No,
No.
it's
So
outside.
so their tree fell into the
Yeah.
public
and
cemetery.
it broke one of the posts, fractured it off at the bottom, so, so that's.
Okay.
And that's cleaned up. So we got a couple stones knocked over that gotta get fixed. a couple of rails, wrought iron railings, and a poster fix, so. Yeah,
So are all-
there's that stone you just spoke of.
Yeah.
So are all posts and rails and things that are associated with old family plots, the property of the family?
No,
Responsibility, I should say, of the family.
no, it's ours if they did.
Towns?
Yeah, yeah, especially the older ones at
Mhm.
this point. Yeah.
Do you
So.
know that for, how do you know that?
I think Michael told me that actually a while ago, a couple of years ago. Um, if we can reach the family, like the Loix family wants to do something,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're reaching out to us saying we want to do this. But this case, we'd have to try to find the families, and
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think that's realistic.
I agree.
But yeah, I think we should be maintaining the cemetery. You know, if an old stone falls over, that's part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Whether it happens by a tree or what have you.
So, is this something that you guys could do? Well, you're not at that point yet where you can do it without Ian and Bill there, right? At this point?
Without-
Putting stones back up, sorry.
Yeah, well, it's kind of up to the cemetery commission what we do or how you handle it. The railing is just wrought iron, you could probably bring it down, press it straight again, have it pressed straight. The post, if you want to put a new one in, or we can drill it, pin it, try to repair it. That's what you want to maintain that post with the patina. That's all we can certainly try to lift, or I can work with Richie Atwood, maybe getting them couple stones reset. Back up and pin back.
Right.
I mean, that sounds good to me, an ad hoc approach by the fine folks at the highway department. Seems like maybe should have that be our first attempt.
Yeah,
Reuse what we can and
yeah, I was wondering about that granite stones, the granite pieces, if we could reuse those, but no, you'll find a place for the granite that we're taking out of the.
Yeah, I mean, it might fit in the project somewhere else, you
Yeah.
know, I don't know, maybe we can, spin them upside down, re-drill them, I don't know, we'd have to look at it, see what's there,
Yeah.
so.
Okay,
you know,
All right.
signpost, something,
okay, all right, so, do we need a vote here? I think we need a vote. Do we want the highway department to work in whatever way they need to repair these things?
So moved.
Second?
second.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And I would, what does the group think? I think on stuff like this, that the two of you between meetings should be able to just decide. I feel like, you're more than,
thank you, I appreciate it, but I disagree. I think it's actually something that's really good to have the entire, I mean, if we did it, we did it very quickly, and
All right.
I just feel more comfortable, having.
let's not hold up the work, is my point, but okay.
Should we have a policy about this kind of a situation and say that if, like the question that I asked about if there is something that happens with existing family plots and stones and any kind of markers or fencing, that it is the responsibility of the town cemetery commission to
I don't know.
to initiate the repairs, and that it's the responsibility of the town to provide the materials and whatever.
I think why don't we all think about this and do it next month?
I think it might be worth it to have some sort of a statement as to whose responsibility is what. In other words, it's not the family's responsibility, it's the town's responsibility.
No, I think I personally need more time to think about it.
Agreed.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's worthy of discussion.
yeah.
Right.
One thing that I'd like to ask, if you guys have time, like drive through the cemetery, see what we did
Mhm.
with the removal of the hedges. Because like the Norman Rockwell, it's lost, you don't even
Yeah,
know it's
I
there
know,
anymore.
I know.
The one straight ahead, it's just, it's overgrown, and I think it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have another idea to try to reel it back in, or maybe we just pull them out or, remove them or take a look at it if you get time. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit more next month.
Well, I was wondering if we should do a part of our meeting next month out there. Does that make sense for you? We could meet out
We
there.
can do whatever. I mean, we could tentatively set that, and if it gets close, see what the weather's doing. If we got to do an audible, we will,
And maybe we could do it again beforehand and then come here. Okay. Because I'd love to talk about that stuff and it seems like a good time to do that. Yeah.
And of course, that's a situation where the family is still around and are those bushes what the family planted? And do they have a say? And
That's an interesting
I
problem.
think,
That's a real issue.
I think that you guys probably ironed that out last year. I mean, if it gets out of control, then
Yeah.
the cemetery has the ability to step in and take control of the situation. I think that was how it was left.
I think so too, yeah.
I mean, the cemetery commission has the power to decide what's maintained and not maintained.
Right. If something has just become grown out of control, I think it's the cemetery commission's.
And there again, it might be good to have a policy about that too, just to get it on the books as to how we handle it.
I think it is actually on our
Yeah, I was
books.
just gonna say,
Yeah.
I think that kind of,
Yeah.
with the clean updates, spring and fall, that was part of that
It's
whole
part of that.
structure.
Yeah, so we actually have that. We have that already. All right, so maybe the next meeting at the end of March, we could meet at 9:30 out there and then maybe make it a 10:30 meeting here. Does that make sense for everybody?
Do we have a date on that?
Yes, it's March 26th.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Okay. You all set then, or?
I think so. I mean, that was pretty much it for me right now.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate your
Oh, yeah.
initiative on all these things.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, I can show you what's going on. I just didn't want to make decisions about certain things without your
Right.
running through your votes.
Candace?
Yeah, I've got if Hugh can stay for the sign discussion, that would be good.
Yes.
Okay.
That's actually next, so, yes. And these aren't great, but they're not exactly the right color. But I was able to get my printer to finally print in color. So
And
I think I may be able to bring it up on my. Yes, I
so
have.
there's a mock-up of the sign.
yeah, I've got one.
which-
Yeah.
And so the mock-up is just showing one sign with cemetery on the very top line in smaller font than the middle line, which says dawn to dusk, and then the bottom line, the third line says open. I think for me, the smaller cemetery and open don't look quite right, but those details can still be ironed out. The proposal included $695 per sign, and that included installation. So that's why I'm wanted to check with Hugh. They're proposing that this sign be on a 2-inch by 2-inch square rail, and they're proposing that they would do the installation. Is that okay? Would the highway department rather do that?
Well,
And up,
and can I interject? I'm looking at their bid or whatever you call it, and it says in terms of putting it in the ground, direct bury installation with bag concrete footing. And I assume maybe that means something to you, Hugh. I kind of think I know what it means, but.
Yeah, pretty much what they do, they'll either dig a hole, and they just basically throw dry lead mortar, or, dump ready mix in a hole, and they set the post on that. The theory behind the old school way was you dug a hole and you did concrete in the hole of the post, but the frost now has something to grab, So now if the frost moves it all, you can just, kind of goes back down, as long as it doesn't have fingers to hold on to. So I'm assuming that's what they're gonna do, dig a hole, pour a little bit in, just set it on there, backfill the hole,
Mhm.
And is that what you would do? And is that okay? And, or do you want to do it? I guess that's the question.
That's pretty much common practice with it, like chain link fence now, you know, I mean, the days of using concrete, you know, for mountain posts are gone because of frost. Frost just pulls it. Now the frost can't grab it, so, you know, they pretty much drive them in now and that's it, so.
And is it something that your department would, is, wants to
What's the
do?
cost? Did they itemize it labor
No.
for materials or they just?
Yeah, they're putting $695 per sign installed, you
Yeah.
know, everything, right? So it's not broken up.
You know, I mean, it doesn't sound too unreasonable.
Yeah.
You know, trying to think of what a piece of 2x2 aluminum is. It looks like it's probably, powder coated or something, that green, right, with the sign to match.
Yeah.
Well,
It's-
and that's another question. Would we prefer to have a black to match the rails that are in the fence around the cemetery, the front and the side of the cemetery there?
Yeah, that is another question. All right.
I think I like the green.
Yeah. Before we could get into that, it almost sounds like I think it might be, I would rather have the highway department work on the shrubs and things that we're talking about rather than burying this, so maybe we just go ahead and,
I tend to agree. I think $695 is pretty reasonable for doing all that.
I think so. I know what materials cost these days, so
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
too,
right,
you
right.
know, it was
Okay.
astronomical.
Yeah. So rather than take up your time with that, we'll.
Take up your time with other things, Sheila.
Exactly. So,
But- Well, one more thing. So what I would like to do is take up Hugh's time to identify the actual locations where we want to put these things. And maybe we'll put some wooden stakes in the ground or something like that to say, okay, this is where the 5 signs are going, or whatever, however many we really think we need.
Yeah, why don't we do that next meeting?
I was going to say,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
perfect.
that'd be perfect.
Okay,
Awesome.
Yeah.
excellent.
And now about the colors.
I
So-
think the Laurel Hill has theirs are green with green, I think. I was trying to bring up my,
Ours are green with white printing.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
just mean the post, though. You have green
Oh, the-
posts.
yes.
Just the post.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
And Candace, I'm sorry, you said there was some part of it that looked odd to you. Can you just repeat that part?
The word cemetery and the word open, I think they're not quite centered or something, and the size is not quite right. They do want to continue using the serif fonts because it relates to some other signs that they've done for Stockbridge, and that was the recommendation, to have it
Okay.
a slightly more
Sure.
formal look.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think it looks great myself.
That's great. The only thing I always wonder about is using all capital letters, and it actually might be perfectly fine with this, but I just want to raise that all capitals are actually a little harder to read. On the other hand, this is very short and easy to.
Yeah.
And I like Dawn to Dusk with all caps. So
Yeah, I think I'd go with it the way it is on this.
The only suggestion I would make is to consider just for the word cemetery and open, a slightly bolder and possibly sans serif face, because it would accentuate the fact that that's kind of a thought that goes together, like cemetery open is basically a thought and dawn is the question and dawn to dusk is the answer. And there's a lot of fonts where you could basically just do a slightly bolder, maybe even a little bit smaller version of those two words. And if you did it in the sans serif, it would really differentiate between the two levels of information, the question that's being posed and the answer being answered.
yeah, that's excellent comment, Patrick. And so would you have a thought about all uppercase versus upper
Yeah,
and
I would make
lowercase?
it just, I would switch it to the cemetery and open in a slightly bolder, slightly smaller font that would be sans serif. And it would just contrast with the dawn to dusk and the serif,
But
but not overpower it.
but she's asking about what I asked, which is, do we want to have it all?
Yeah, all
caps?
caps, absolutely. Because, with descenders and stuff, it doesn't have the same, once you, for example, the word open is lowercase, you're going to have the P going down.
Good point.
The
Okay.
font is I think the font should be all caps. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And I would suggest that the white border be wider
Mm.
because
Yep.
we have a sign for Ice Glen that that when I put it up, because it was green with white lettering. And when I put it up, because in the summertime, all the green trees and leaves and everything around it, it didn't really stand out. So I ended up putting a white border on it.
Mhm.
And it was because on the tip, which was an arrow, and it made all the difference in the world.
It's interesting.
And because there's so much green around, I think it might be better to have so it'll stand out, because here it's against a white background.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay, perfect. I will
Okay.
review these things with Pixley sign and we can perhaps vote on the final sign next meeting.
Yeah, yeah. Do we have to take it to the select board?
No, it already went.
Yeah, no.
Wonderful, wonderful.
We got enough stuff to do. Whatever you want.
Thank you, but a colored template of a green one and another color. It might make you a nice paper one or something you can bring next month, and we can kind of,
Oh, that's a good idea.
maybe we just hold it on a stake or something, bring a 2x4, and we just stick it on there about the right height and give you a better idea. You know, I might take out a piece of paper or something, you know.
No, I think it's, yeah, I
Print
think
it out.
everything looks different in the actual context, you know?
Grasp of the size and,
Yeah,
Right, we might think it's too small, actually.
if you're spending this much,
yeah.
still a
Right.
lot of money, so maybe they'll do that for you. They might.
Karen, the only reason that if you wanted to get it on the select board agenda is just to promote it in the town. 'Cause
No,
the-
no, that's not, people will walk through, they'll see it, it'll be fine. Yeah, but thank you, yeah. Okay, so you all set there on that, Candace? Almost all, okay. All right, so that's good. Yeah, I really like the idea of seeing them in context. I think it's gonna.
Makes a big difference.
It really does, yeah. Okay, so the next thing is proposed addition to our procedures document.
Letting Hugh go.
It's okay, just,
Oh, I'm sorry, you got something else?
no.
Okay,
I mean, I'd love to keep going. I can just talk to you signature.
okay, all right.
You want to be.
So this is actually saying, this is a policy thing that we've been using but not actually saying anywhere. And it kind of came up when we were doing that meeting, the planning that we want to do. So this is my proposed agenda, proposed addition to our document. All families are allowed 2 side-by-side 10-by-4 graves. This, by the way, this is not the great version. This is the version we have to fix up. At the next available space, families cannot choose the space. If families choose cremation, the space can be filled with cremations until it is full. So this is, as I said, not most graceful, but this is,
I thought it was a really good idea, to be clear, like, yeah, I'm looking, I assume it would be in this page of, you know.
yeah, I would think.
Talking about that in general, but we're sort of talking about something that we haven't even said exists as a policy.
Yes, yes.
Details.
Yeah.
If you have 2 side-by-side 4 by 10-foot lots, so I think it's great.
How about the language? Because is it clear enough? I did send it to Richie Atwood and he was going to get back to me and he just didn't. And I wanted to just go ahead and do it at the,
I think it's totally clear. Do you?
Yeah.
think it's clear? Okay. Candace, what do you
Yeah.
think?
No, I think it makes sense. I mean, I understood what it's trying to say. And
Would it be
yeah,
helpful to say till it's filled? So would it be helpful to say how many cremations that would be?
I don't know what that amount
Yeah, I think
is.
it might sort of depend, frankly, on where you put the
Right.
first couple would depend on how many more you can get in. Like my family has 2 in our double wide plot and I think there's room for 2 more, but probably that's it. But you never know. Like somebody might say, well, we could squeeze in.
Right, exactly.
So I think we probably don't need to memorialize that in a rule.
If anything changes with cremations too, if they
Yeah.
change them, how they do it.
Or maybe you could do it, or maybe you could even change the size of the urn, like make it tall and skinny, get more people in there.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
I just thought of a question. Do we have any policy about people wanting to bury the cremated remains of their pets?
No, but
It's
could we not
against
talk about
the
that right
law.
now? It's against,
It's
oh,
a-
it's against,
It's against the
No.
law in Massachusetts. Yeah.
oh, well, there we go. That's our
Yes.
policy.
That just popped into my mind because when I moved,
Yeah.
I had I had Stanley cremated. So I have a little box for Stanley.
Was Stanley a cat or something?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, so rumor has it, people often will stitch cremated remains of their pets inside their hems of their
Oh.
shirts or their pants or, something like that. So you can all go together at that time and nobody is the wiser except for you. Yeah.
There you go. Just something to think about. All right. So then,
And
I
one more thing,
propose-
one more thing about limitations. Often the limitation of how many remains go into a plot is related to how many names will fit on a gravestone.
Right.
So
Oh.
if there are 4 names already on the gravestone and you really can't fit another, well, are we allowing a new, perhaps a foot marker to be added with more names? Or
That's a good question. Yeah. The Williams plot being an example, it just says Williams in big letters on the upright, and then we've got 2 flat stones for my 2 parents. So
yeah.
in the event of my demise, if I wanted to be in there, like, am I entitled to have a, it says Peter Williams? I think there's something about that in here, but I forget what it says.
Or something that says unknown.
Asterisk. Well, how about just a QR code?
Or
Oh,
Peter's here.
QR code.
et cetera. You could put et cetera in there.
Right. Encourage parents to give kids short names so more would fit.
Right. And it's possible, Peter, does the Williams lot have an upright large monument?
Yeah, so we have the one single upright large monument, and then so far 2 of the Veterans Administration type flat stones.
And
For
is
my
there
2
anything on the back of the upright
No,
monument?
there is not.
So theoretically, names could be inscribed there.
Yeah.
Because, right, so are you saying, I haven't found it, but I have a feeling I saw once that somewhere it suggests that maybe only 2 flat stones are allowed as well as 1 upright?
That sounds right. Maybe, do you think we could go ahead and approve this addition, but then put on the next month to talk about what we do in that kind of situation?
Sounds like a good idea.
Could we do that? Because it's,
Because if we
We'll give
could,
us all time to study what's here and.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So,
So I move that we add to our policies the language in bullet point 4 of the agenda.
second? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'm not going to vote because I missed that discussion.
Okay, all right. So then we're down to our beginning of our planning, our long-range planning. Sort of, it's not all, many of the things on the list are not actually long-range. Some of them are short-range and some of them. But I thought we'd start with, we agreed we'd start with trees, shrubs, and perennials, including planting at family lots in the ground, kinds of plants, how big an area. So basically, I think if we're going to do this, it would be great to say to people, you can put in, like 2 feet around these kinds of plants if you want to, right? That's the example I was thinking of. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about. Removals of some trees and shrubs for safety and access to lots. I think we're actually going to get to that next month. Additions, how do we add new life into the cemetery, and what to do with the hemlock hedges around the cemetery. So begin the discussion. I thought we could start with the planting of family lots on the ground,
Do that, that's
because I think
it's first, and it might be easier to deal with than some of the.
exactly.
So, right, and I was looking at our policies, and again, I have to try to find it, but it seemed like our policies began to address what sort of plantings can be done at family plots. In fact, I think it might have basically said, you need permission from us.
Yes. That's what I was thinking. If we do decide that we don't want to give permission to every single, that we come up with something in our procedures that says, if you want to plant something, this is the extent of it. And I'm sorry, we don't have it here because I'm not sure what that would be. Is it 2 feet? Is it 3 feet? What's reasonable for the mowing situation? And then what kind of plants? And I think Candace has some ideas on what kinds of plants would be good, low things that wouldn't cause trouble.
Well, there's, there we go. Yeah, I mean, we were sort of just being very generic in creeping thyme, barren strawberry, or other native or even a non-invasive species should be okay. So we did specify under plants, planters, and decorations policies, item 4 does say plantings, annuals or perennials, are allowed up to 12 inches in front of a monument or marker. And initially, I had recommended all the way around, but I think Rich Atwood is the one who said, no, you don't want it at the back of the marker, which is on the back line.
Oh.
So at the moment, it says basically 12 inches in front of a monument or marker.
That seems pretty good. I just, right, and now I found it, right, Pat and I are both looking at page 5 of 7 of the policies.
Yes.
And I was wondering a little bit about number 1 says all permanent plantings, including hedges, trees, shrubs, and ground covers, shall be subject to the approval of the cemetery commission. Then we drop down to number 4, where it says plantings, annuals or perennials, are allowed up to 12 inches in front of the marker. So I suppose in a way, maybe number 4 is modifying number 1. Like, in other words, we're saying you have to get our approval for anything in number 1. That's what we're saying. But then in 4, we're saying, okay, and here's some approvals we're already giving.
Maybe we
Sort of
can change the
generically.
wording to say instead of plantings are allowed, maybe plantings will be allowed.
Well, so that's a distinction that,
Yeah.
right, but that would require us then to have a sort of a, in each meeting, which maybe we don't want to do. That might be kind of a lot of
Right.
stuff.
When we say plantings and planters, are we talking about above ground, effectively a potted plant versus something that goes in the ground?
Well, that's a separate question. I think these are in-ground things. When we're talking about plantings are
Okay.
in-ground things. And
So I see what you're saying, but so maybe number 4 should really become like 1A.
yeah, that's a good idea.
I think so. Well, if we're happy with this, then that one's done.
So, yeah, so the one little mini question I had when it says plantings, open parens, annuals or perennials, close parens. We're talking about flowers, right? In other words, like you could argue that a shrub is a perennial plant.
Yeah.
Well, something like lavender is a perennial.
So maybe this should say ground covers.
Oh,
Well, some people have like tulips and stuff, daffodils that they've planted, which I think is
Right.
okay.
yeah.
So I was thinking, putting maybe the word flowering before annuals or perennials. Like, I don't think, something like that. Notice to make it clear, we're talking about little flowery things, not hedges.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think I could get behind that.
Cool. Okay. So we're adding the word flowering before annuals or perennials. And then we're making that whole number 4 to be 1A.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of flowering shrubs. I mean, is it where we're trying to avoid kind of the big
Yeah,
bushy thing? right?
yeah, we are.
Yeah,
That's a good
right.
point.
So it's almost
Good
like,
point.
right, what does the word perennial mean?
You want to zip something out there?
I mean, perennial
Comes up
sort of to
every
me
year.
suggests something that dies in the fall and then comes back in the spring, which
Right.
is not a hedge. But I don't know if everybody else would interpret it.
Should we
that
put a height limit on? Would that help if we said,
Well, oh, yeah, right, no.
oh, that's the distance out.
the
But
distance.
if we put a height limit, could we do that? But maybe to say, no, nothing more than,
Like no taller than 12 inches?
We say bushes are discouraged.
Well, I think we want
Basically
to,
make it clear, we're looking for like little garden plants and tulips and whatnot, or like a ground, thyme or sage or whatever, but we're not looking for,
well,
a
I
lilac bush.
still like
Well,
that
yeah.
actually having a limit on it because discouraged
Well,
doesn't
the-
always
the-
discourage people.
Right.
I agree.
These would, herbaceous might be the word we would use versus woody. Shrubs would be
Ah.
woody,
Oh.
trees are woody,
That's nice.
hedges are woody. So we would
Wow.
want to say herbaceous.
Harrelson.
So maybe forget about flowering and say herbaceous
Yeah.
as our adjective. That sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Something salad-like.
It's amazing how just a word different here and there can make so much more impact.
Okay, so that sounds good. With those changes,
Okay, and
should we move those modifications?
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Okay, well, that was. Okay, next one is removal of some trees and shrubs for safety and access to lots. And obviously, he was brought up some, and I'd love to keep, look around, and there are other places where there's one spot, it would be much easier to show you, but there is a spot where Chris, there are hedges that have gone crazy. And if you take them down, it'll look awful. What he did is he brought, to try it, for several of them, he brought them up. So they became tall with no branches down below. You could see the stones, but the rest of the plant was there. And he didn't finish that, but it was experimenting. So I'd like to look at that next week, next time we go and say, can we continue this? Because
Yeah,
it's
so
a good
I
idea.
agree. So let's continue this item for the agenda for next month.
Yeah.
It does seem like something that's better discussed in the reality in front of us rather than in the abstract.
Yeah.
And I know
And-
when we did our site visit, he showed us the tree that was in amongst other trees and things that were in the sort of the fence line, or may have even been a fence on one of the houses that was on Church Street. It was near, it was in that back lot where the Rockwell grave is, only behind the house, and he had marked it because it had to be removed. So it'd be good to see
Yeah.
how that looks now that that tree is, I'm assuming, has been removed by now.
Yeah, we definitely need to get out there
Yeah.
and look around. Okay. So additions, how do we add new life into the cemetery?
It's a weird phrasing, just.
Very funny phrase.
Well, to be fair, it's not mine. I think it was Candace's. So I'm not sure. I was going to ask her what she's thinking about that kind of stuff.
We start burying live people.
Right, exactly.
Oh, that would, now that would do it. actually.
no. You see, we have the beauty of putting live things in, not in terms of people, but in terms of trees and plants and shrubs. So that's what this is about. And,
Maybe we need a tagline, transitions or something. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, I think it'd be,
I'm not sure we can really answer this question right now.
no, I don't think, well, but here's what I want us all to kind of start thinking about. There are really different parts of the cemetery. The oldest section, it's like an old burying ground. I mean, that's what we're working on that. But, as you move through, then you get to the new section. And I don't think we have to have the same kinds of plants in all of those sections. The old section, they really don't want us to put new plants in. But we've got that new area, and cemetery stones have changed so much. I don't think they're nearly as vulnerable. I mean, we'll find out.
Yeah, and that's where, this strikes me as one where, I've always been somewhat interested in the idea of having some sort of professional advice from landscapers or something. It strikes me this is an area where we might try to get some professional advice. Somebody come in and say,
Yeah.
hey, here's some ideas. And
And I appreciate, so I think what I just understood you to say is you didn't think it would be appropriate to put trees in the older sections where we're cleaning stones. Is that what you were just saying?
We're
So-
being
so-
encouraged not to do that, but,
Right, but maybe we can have large shrubs like viburnum, something that has fruit on it that would bring in wildlife to the area. That would be quite lovely, and they don't necessarily fall over and ruin a stone. So I would like to see something like that happen. And we're not going to sprinkle these things all over the place, but maybe where they took down those ginormous pine trees and we have
Yeah.
these massive trunks, maybe that's the location to put in some smaller shrubs. So we have, that kind of new life within the cemetery.
I think that's a really neat idea.
Oases.
Yeah, well,
yeah, and that's where, again, it'd be nice if it were sort of part of a plan, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
yeah, yeah.
But by the way, as I drove by the garden center on my way in here, I thought, I don't know, anything in the botanical garden? Is there anybody there that we might want to reach out to that might give us some free advice?
Interesting idea.
Uh,
Huh. Did anybody know anybody at the?
Thad and Mike, the co-directors, I know them both. I'd be happy to. Or I'll just get you.
No, you're gonna, yeah, that would be great if you did that. Yeah, because I don't know anybody over there.
Yeah, nor do I.
Yeah.
It's Stad, Celestine Thompson and Mike Beck.
Yeah. But you feel like you know them well enough. You could give them that would be
I'll
great.
send an email to.
And
the
after
four of us.
Okay.
And after the presentation that Ian and who's the other,
Bill.
Bill did at the library and saying how our cemetery is such a microcosm of the different looks and feels and designs of headstones and things and the way we approach a burial has changed over the years, that having different designs throughout the cemetery would be sort of nice.
I think it'd be very nice.
Yeah.
You know, at some point way down the, well, not way down the road, we may want to create a space in the new section, which you had at Auburn, Mount Auburn, a kind of a freestanding stone thing that you can put cremation remains into. And then you can put plants around that. And we might want to do something like that at some point. And so it'd just be nice to have a very different feel for the different parts.
Particularly, I agree. The new section is looking rather industrial. It's just like boom, 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 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot more
Right,
character to both sections.
Yeah.
And if we could think of some ways to make that have more life,
Yeah.
and be more attractive and welcoming, that would be great. And again, that's where I think if we could get some professionals to give us some ideas, it might be better than
Yeah.
we five trying to figure it out.
Trying to figure it out, yeah. Well, I figured we wouldn't solve answer this question, but I thought it's good to
Great.
start talking about what it is that we're,
Yeah, and it's good that we're having a site visit next month and we can continue the conversation.
yeah. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I think we shouldn't try to come back here to have a meeting, because I think there's going to be enough going on at that meeting. You know, we
Just do a site visit.
just,
I think that's a good idea.
so let's just make it 10.
Yeah.
Might be warmer. And we just go as long as we can go and, do, okay, good,
Yeah.
good. All right, so you're going to talk to them. I'm going to see if I can think of anybody I can talk to, that I've worked with. See, I'll ask, if there's anybody who's willing to come and, we work with a company called Nature Works. And we've personally, spent money with them. So I will, I'll write the owner and ask if he's at all interested.
Yeah, but I would maybe, if we're asking those guys to sort of give us a free consult, I would maybe suggest we start there. So
Absolutely.
it doesn't look like we're kind of, that or another good one would ask would be Tom Farley. He'd be
Right.
fantastic at
Well,
this.
I think,
We can do any of the above,
yeah.
you
Well, why don't you start with the Berkshire Botanical Garden and we'll go from there.
It's good.
Okay, all right.
If we only have a meeting at the cemetery, what does that do about Zoom and
There's no Zoom.
doesn't?
There's
Anybody who, and all the people who want to come, and we have so many, just have to come on the site
Yeah.
itself and hang out with us for
I
there.
didn't know if it violated any kind of
No.
meeting type of thing.
No, no. No, if we have,
no
to-
obligation anymore to have the meetings on Zoom. It's up to the chair.
I think there is one committee that doesn't do it, isn't there? One?
No, actually,
They
we
all
got
do
them
it?
all to do it,
Oh, okay.
which is good. I mean, it's good that people.
Oh, I
can,
think it's great. I think it's a wonderful
it's
thing, but
It's not an obligation. That was state law during COVID.
yeah. All right, so then the last question that we have 5 minutes to deal with. No, again, I think this is just something we have a conversation about. We're not going to try to decide, but that is what to do about the hemlock hedges around the cemetery.
So I brought as an audiovisual aid a picture, the Norman Rockwell painting back when the hedges just grew up to the top of the horizontal iron bars of the fence, which
Yeah,
I
that,
think
that
looked
was the
great.
original intent, I bet.
Yeah, I think that was the idea. And it's right. And again, as I drove in this morning, I looked at it and said, oh my God, it's gotten totally out of control. It's double.
I know,
And-
it's.
And of
it's
course, I
funny.
guess it's been said that if we just cut them down to that height of the fence, it would look terrible. And yet part of me says, I don't know, is that really true? Like maybe we should test it somewhere anyway. Like I think the hedges have a way of, it would take a year or two, but they would grow green in to cover up the area that would be admittedly
We
sort of
would
black
hope.
right on the top. Well, I have done that with some bushes in my house that they've eventually grown back again.
Yeah. That's an interesting idea that we could pick a spot,
Yeah.
like down.
Put that on our list for next month to.
Yeah, to say-
If there's a test spot, we
We
can.
can talk to Hugh too. He
Yeah,
can-
see what he thinks.
But,
Because I know that in my tenure on Laurel Hill, we actually replaced the hedges along the west near just outside the really old section.
Yeah,
The Church Street side.
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
Church Street side.
Yeah, and I think they're just as high now, but yeah, let's put this on our list of.
Yeah.
I
things
know
to
we,
talk about and
we
look at.
had a debate about whether we wanted to do it with hemlock because of the adelgid and things that were happening.
And they decided to go with the hemlock.
We
Well,
decided
that's
to go
an
with the
interest
hemlock.
too, heaven forbid that they all die from the algae or however you pronounce it. But that's.
Check to see whether they have it. It's easy to check.
Well, they haven't died.
They may not die, but if they're infected, we either should treat them or come up with a plan because they will.
Yeah, as well.
Right, right.
So let's put
Yeah,
that.
well, and plus, yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense to plant trees where we want hedges.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's,
So,
you
so,
know,
so,
the
you know-
town's consultant for the hemlock studies plan is a guy named Ken Gooch. And he comes in April, I believe, to do an assessment. Maybe we ask him to stop by and just look at those. He can just
Yeah.
literally look at the bottoms of the plants and say, yes, 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 no, no. But the hemlocks along the Catholic cemetery, we had them come in last year and look at those, and they were like 70% infected. So the bad ones, the decision was to take them out because it spreads. And so once again, it may have gaps, and this is something that if we're going to leave the hemlocks in, it's going to need to be managed.
Wow.
And you can always like inject them or spray them, which will help save them. But, a lot of folks don't like pesticides. So it's a whole kind of question how you manage this,
So this
yeah.
Ken
Well,
Gooch guy,
yeah,
do we have a way to reach out to him?
Yeah, I got his number. I can
Cool.
either do it or get it to you. I would go through Michael when he's going to be in town anyway.
Okay, but we need to have a definite decision. We're going to reach out to him,
Yeah, I think we absolutely should if we're.
but we need, somebody needs to do it.
So yeah, is Patrick volunteering to reach out?
I think Patrick's volunteering. He volunteered for two things.
And we're volunteering him.
Right, exactly. We're all in agreement on that.
Right.
Okay.
I think the whole question about how high do we have these hedges? I've always had a little fight within myself as to, do I like to hide the cemetery for privacy? Or do we advertise it and not have it as hidden? So I go by cemeteries that have nothing, and then I go by cemeteries that are totally hidden. And I think I'm halfway in between.
Which I think, in the Norman Rockwell painting, I think that's sort of, in a way, the happy medium. You can
Yeah.
see that there are stones, the
Right.
taller ones are visible.
Mhm.
And so it creates some kind of a barrier that's nice
Yeah.
and yet not, like tall hedges, I just think are offensive. That's like the new thing that's going on in the Hamptons on Long Island now. We're not allowed to have big fences, so they grow giant hedges and stuff. You drive down a road and all you see is hedges, and
Oh, wow.
it sort of isolates.
and yeah, that's a very good point. And it's not all or nothing, right? I
Right.
mean, it's
Right.
possible if we think about this in terms of safety and those two gates that come directly off of Main Street where we walk in and where people drive in, perhaps that whole middle area of fencing, we do remove all the hedges and maybe 10 feet beyond so that we increase the view shed, not even the view shed, just, as we're walking in or people are driving out, they can see the pedestrians coming.
Mm,
Yes.
I mean, so in that, if we take an approach that's phased, we might first start by maybe we just chop down the hedges in that middle section. And I heard recently, and I don't know if this is true, but if you chop down more than 60% of a tree, you're going to kill the tree. So if we were to chop these hedges down to the rail, does that compromise the health of the tree just because we've
We need the expertise. on this.
yeah. So, those are some things we can experiment with because we're not going to get this done in one season. It's a
Oh, yeah.
big,
Yes.
it's a big
Yeah.
discussion.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
I like the idea though of that's appealing to me to open up just a sort of a wide entry area. So that sounds cool. I like that.
And there are safety reasons for doing that, actually. Yeah. I drive into the cemetery, I drive out onto Main Street, and And because the sidewalk is right there.
Yeah.
You're worried,
Right.
it's a kid on a bicycle or something,
Yeah,
you can't see.
yeah.
But, you know, let's also recognize specifically that hemlocks are, you know, they grow 100, 150 feet tall. And they're in their natural state, they're in a forest, and because of the crowding out of light in the rest of the forest, most of the crown is way up at the top and there's almost no branches in its natural setting along the side. And I'm not an arborist, but I'm not sure you can just lop off the top half of a tree and expect it to like flourish. It's not a bush, you know. It is a tree, a very big growing tall tree that has a crown at the top and nothing below it in nature. Right.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's where some professional expertise might be helpful.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wonder if the guys from BBG could also, maybe they know what hemlock
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe they can look at it too, and,
Yeah.
yeah. It'd be great if they could, if you could make this happen or before our next meeting would be.
Yeah, of course.
that'd
I'm
be-
going to send an email when I get home. Rob, for
Yeah,
that.
that'd be great.
Cool. That'd be excellent.
All right. Well, then I think our work here is done.
Awesome. I move we adjourn.
Second. Bye.
All in favor?